Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the preview of the INEOS. What are they called? We're going to get into that discussion in a second. 2026 preview for INEOS, brought to you by Morton this episode. And I want to see, where are you, Benji? You're in a different setup. You're kind of running, gunning like I am sometimes.
Exactly. I'm in Tenerife. Climbed a couple of mountains while I was here. It's been a tumultuous trip, but I'm ready to get back into podcasting. And INEOS is an intriguing team to start with, I think, because they've always been like the indicator of like the last 5 years, post-Froome era. Are they fighting to get back into the GC era of the sport? Can they find their way into Tour de France contention in the next 5 to 10 years again? That's been the story. Before we jump into that, do you still think that should be the comparison, that era, or should we start looking at INEOS in a different light?
No. So I also thought about this because I think we were some of the big drum beaters of INEOS. You got to do something differently in this rebuild. Yeah. I'm talking 2022 to now, because we felt like in 23 and 24 they were trying to still just like GC everything, ride like they had a GC leader, and they won. I think in 24 they won 10 races outside of Natty Champs. So the team won 10 races in 24. 2025 looked completely different. From the first race, way more aggressive. They won a lot more races. They won a lot of World Tour level races with a lot of different riders, actually. One of the, I think, maybe the third most different riders that won a World Tour race, maybe the second most, which is impressive. That being said, that's not how they're going to continue, because Geraint Thomas, who we said in the weekly show, he's now the head of racing. He espoused my camera's gone walkabout. Not my camera, my microphone. He said, fuck all that stage win nonsense. I'm paraphrasing here. We need to win the Tour de France again. That's what he said, pretty much. And
easier said than done.
But that's the plan. He said time for transition period is over, and maybe in 2030 or whenever, it's got to be winning the Tour de France or trying to win the Tour de France. So that's the internal goal. So then you're like, is it fair to judge them against it when they don't win it, when both of us think that's unrealistic, at least for the next couple of years? I mean, that's tricky then. I don't know how to answer that question.
I think I don't really care about what Thomas said in terms of that should be the goal in the next like whatever years. I think I look at this team now and I try to review a team's year, I try to do so with the expectations that I had before the year started. I did not expect this team to compete for a victory at a Grand Tour, nor really a podium at a Grand Tour. I didn't see that as a clear possibility. Yes, it's not impossible for that to happen, but I wasn't feeling it going into the year. So I will judge this team based on how did they do compared to last year and compared to my expectations of the team. And compared to last year, we don't have to run around the tree too much. Don't know if that's an expression, but it is from now on. I think it's fair to say that their season was better in terms of being victorious than last year. But on top of that, I think it's also highly carried by certain riders. For example, Arensman getting 2 victories at the Tour de France changed the entire season for this team as well, because without him at the Tour de France getting those stage wins, then they get 12th in GC at the Tour de France. Also Arensman, by the way, but that's their whole Tour de France performance. And that's partially because Ghana fell in stage 1 of the Tour de France, but still, that's the biggest race, so that's Arensman was a massive value for this team this year. And I hear Luke clapping behind the scenes for the credit that I'm giving them and Arensman. Or am I exaggerating that his victories are that important this year for the team?
Well, they gave him, he was their best rider of the year. Their awards night. So
Tour of the Alps, mate.
That's Tour of the Alps. That was actually that was one of the best stage races of the year. So it was an impressive victory. I really enjoyed that race, and he was mega strong there. But yeah, the problem was the Giro when he had his customary issues on stage 1 in Albania. But yeah, Arensman, he won from the GC group, a mountain stage in the Tour. That's big. Yep. But like we said, rightly or wrongly, it's not maybe how we would look at it. I don't even think that's how they approach their season, because they won 6 Grand Tour stages and 13 World Tour races. They won double the number of races as 24, so it was an improvement. I think Ganna in the classics was excellent. If Aronson was their biggest winning rider, I think Ganna was actually their best rider. When you see second in San Remo, third in E3, Roubaix, he was in magic shape, but then he punctured on the first sector, and that was that. Flanders 8th, Tirreno 2nd with winning the ITT. I think he was actually their best rider. The problem was the Tour. That took his season from like a pretty good season, really good in the classics, but it could have been more. It could have been a 2023 or really, really class season. So
I think that's fair, but I also, sure, Ganna could have had a time trial victory at the Tour de France or something, hypothetically, against Remco. I'm not completely sure whether that would happen. He got that Vuelta win next to Bernal, and they've got 3 stage wins at the Vuelta. I keep forgetting about that. Turner as well, next to Bernal getting that beheaded stage, and Filippo Ganna winning the ITT. But it's also, I don't expect Ganna to perform even better than the classics that he did not puncturing. For example, yes, in Roubaix, I expect a better result, but if he punctures on the first cobble sector, can't exactly blame him too much. Yes, punctures are not always bad luck. Skill is also involved, but I can't judge it because I don't remember the actual puncture that happened, etc. But that said, what I'm trying to say is, for that E3 or that top 3 at E3 and MSR as well, I don't expect more from Ganna in those races specifically. So I don't expect him to necessarily step up and win MSR in an average year. That would be a overperformance if he wins MSR. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that would be a huge result. Still, he followed Pogel and Cipressa, which is pretty impressive.
Super impressive.
So, yeah, he had a good season. I think a lot of other riders were good, like that were not maybe the riders they really needed to break through haven't yet. So Sheffield, I think, didn't improve really. I know he won a Pyrenees stage. Yeah, it crashes too much in the Grand Tours. It didn't happen. Carlos Rodriguez didn't improve again. Tarling is very good. He's only 21. But his season wasn't better than the previous 2 years either. And I know he had the massive crash, which basically ended his season, apart from the Chrono des Nations win. But yeah, that crash was awful in the Giro. He only came back racing in the late September. So, but the guys that did perform were like a Langolotti stage. Who else was good? Even Ewan was good before the snap retirement.
Yeah. Watson
Turner
winning a Romandy prologue.
Watson was very good, but yeah, the Plus injuries or something. So he only raced 25 race days.
The one thing that we always do notice with a team like INEOS is kind of what we had with Bahrain maybe 1 to 2 years ago, where they do always have like a set of top 5 to top 10s in World Tour races that other teams should have more of. For example, even getting 7 in Catalonia with Bernal, getting 6th with the Plus in that same race in GC, Langolotti getting that 5th place into the Polonia, Sheffield getting 4th in Paris-Nice GC, while Arensman gets 3rd in that race, Ganna getting 2nd in Tirreno as well. So that whole list of results in 1 week races, that does bring value. I don't know, is it weird that I'm not overly disappointed in this season by INEOS Grenadiers?
I thought they had a pretty good season with the roster they had.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I think it was a solid season.
I'm almost scared to say that they had a good season because we back in the day compared them to their old days, but I don't think it's right to do that at the moment.
Yeah, like if you do it on a money basis, results for money, okay, yeah, it's maybe compared to other teams like at Alpecin, it's not as good, but for the riders they had at the start of the year, for the expectations, for what could reasonably be expected them to achieve, I think it was a pretty good season. Because yeah, I know Bernal's probably getting paid Grand Tour winner money, but neither of us
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. So actually going for a stage win, which he did manage to do with the Vuelta, yeah, good
Is it
result.
me? Or when I look at the team of INEOS of 2025, yes, there's riders that have more value in their salary than value on the road. Like Bernal is an example of that post-crash, of course. Thomas was also an example of that this year, but there's also a bunch of other riders within that list that I'm like, okay, Kwiatkowski also much more financial backing than his performances on the bike, despite the history, because the history is what built those salaries to where it's at. But I still have a feeling of like, ooh, is this team really on that much money in terms of budget when I look at the team, or is that an exaggeration? Because I feel like when you look at the names in the team, you're like, okay, it shouldn't cost 50 million to put a team up like that.
Oh, well, the rider salary won't be all of that. There's obviously
of course.
the general other expenses.
55,
35
60%?
mil. Yes, it's a higher percentage in the bigger budget teams because there's sort of the fixed costs become a smaller proportion, but I don't know, to be honest. But yeah, it's still a big budget team. But I know what you mean. Like Pidcock's off the books this year. Still, like Langolotti would have been not $1 million, but then you don't know how much Laurence came in at. Jungels, Geraint Thomas was still probably on a lot of money. Yeah. Carlos Rodriguez be on a lot of money. So you got guys on big money would have been still this year. Bernal, Thomas, Rodriguez,
Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski on pretty big money.
Arensman on pretty solid too, to be honest.
Yeah. Is he on his second contract with them or still on the first?
I don't remember.
He's on his second.
I gotta be honest. But outside of that, there's still a few other riders where you could argue that Tarling's probably on quite a bit of money as well, considering his talent going into INEOS. I don't think he's going to be the cheapest rider on their roster either. There's a couple of riders where you're like Jungels, Voss with his World Champs IDT history. I don't think he'll be on 300k either. You know, it's like, it's a list of riders that are probably more expensive than you think, is what I'm trying to convey.
I got a hot take.
Oh God, drop it. Drop the hot take.
Caleb Ewan would have won. Definitely would have won a Vuelta stage. Very confident of that. I think he would have won. I mean, Turner won it. Yeah, Turner won it. Like the sprint, Philipson was on his last legs. I think Ewan was top 5 sprinter in the world. This year could have been top 5 sprinter in the world.
Get the fuck out of here.
Who's the 5th?
Brennan?
Oh, yeah, he's all right.
How could you forget Brennan? You keep talking about him every day of your life. You got a poster on your wall above your bed of Brennan.
Yeah, true. Okay, top 6.
Merlier,
all right.
Philipson, Coy. What's the other guy? Milan, of course. That's dangerous. Brennan has to be someone that I'd put above Ewan as well, but I also can't think of it. Paul Magnier, I would definitely put above Ewan. Yeah. There's also a couple of other riders that probably go above Ewan. So I think you dropped the hot take.
Top 10.
And you were hoping that it was impossible to prove it wrong, but top 10.
Top 10, definitely. Like, top 10's not even a hot take. That's kind of fact.
Delee's better?
Sprinter?
Yes.
Bunch.
That Renui Tour stage makes him win it over you.
Pretty good, yeah. Alrighty. I'll
maybe
workshop
he's
it
flirting with top 10. I'll allow it.
I'll workshop it a little bit more. I'll get back to you on it. But I mean, I think they did a good thing trying to do that project. I think it was Groves. I think it was kind of, they were thinking out of the box. He retired. Like, it was worth it. Okay, that was their season recap. I should say this was recorded on December 11th. And so for that purpose, we don't know what the team is called. Now, on PCS, it's called the INEOS Grenadiers for next year. Again, we're using G as our official source, but he called them, he corrected himself and called them the INEOS Total Energie. So I think that's going to be their team name for 26.
But Patrick, we got to talk about their kit, because in 2025 they had first the INEOS kit, then Total Energie came on board for, I think, the Tour de France, and then a white blob with the Total Energie logo ended up on their butt during the Tour de France, and it was like it was added onto it, and it looked pretty atrocious in my personal opinion. I think the majority of the cycling fans also thought the combination was terrible, but their 2026 kit has been cited. I don't think it's official yet, but can I be honest? I'll try to describe it for a second. Red on top with the logos on it, but some of the logos have white squares around them to make them stand out on the background, which shouts to me amateur design skills. And then below that, we've got a white bar around their tummy, torso, and then their trousers, their shorts, are light gray. Patrick, did you see the picture? And I'm sorry, but can I describe it as atrocious?
I'm trying to bring up an image of it. I didn't have that strong feelings of it.
It was horrible. Actually horrible. Worst kit so far this year.
I've now learned you have to reserve judgment until you've seen it in a race. At least it's not. I mean, with Archaea out, so Archaea used to sometimes be mixed up with them a little bit. I think with Archaea out, they have pretty good brand recognition and a lock on that color scheme. Although I know that NSN do have like an orange sleeve coming in. So,
hot take.
Would you rather have a good kit or stand out?
I think you can do both. My hot take is that white shorts or colors that are close to white shorts should not be allowed for people that are not world champion or national champion, because it's so cool to see a world champion with a white short as like a special moment in the year. And then you can make all kinds of superstitious crap about it, that the white shorts gives them 50 watts extra or something. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Like the brown shorts of Decathlon, you can play with that gimmick. That's different. But light gray? Really? I'm not having that.
I think light gray is okay. It depends on your
you don't have any fashion
color scheme. Well, actually, so yeah, Mrs. Rouge made me do a Korean color analysis, and in fact, light gray is pretty much the only thing I was told I can wear. So thanks, INEOS, because your kit, I think it's called a summer mute. Well, I don't know. But yeah, that aside, we'll see it in the flesh. Also, I think it's a leak, so it might change, because I think there were some things that were like in a box that really should have just been the logo, and it was like a white box, and that didn't look too flash. So that made me think this isn't the final design.
I think that is because a brand goes to them and says, we don't want you to change the design of our logo. And then they have to force themselves to put it on the kit with a white box around it to make it stand out. And I think that's the reason.
And that's the problem. So all these teams are in a bind because they have so many different sponsors, all with different color schemes and color palettes, and the logo can't be changed, and the logo has to be fixed dimensions. You can't stretch it out, and trying to piece them all together, particularly when pretty much every team apart from, UAE and Bahrain have two sponsors. So then are the two sponsors color schemes going to match perfectly? And that's why, Decathlon made the team's color scheme change to be there. I actually think in hindsight, what Decathlon did was very smart, really changing the whole kit, because it was a signal of old team is gone. We are the new team. Please sign with us. Olaf Koy and other riders. Anyway, on INEOS, before we get into, although Lucas said their UCI application was INEOS Grenadiers, but you can just change the actual team name whenever you want, pretty much. So I reckon it's going to be INEOS Total. Before we get into their 2025-6 transfers, a word on Morton, who coincidentally are the official performance nutrition partner of the INEOS Grenadiers. I think that was a long-term like contract, and they've been working with them for a number of years, and will be for a number of years into the future. But if you're fueling indoors, which a lot of these pros are, some of them are in Spain at the moment with their training camp, but some of us don't, or a lot of us don't have that luxury. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, winter training means a lot more time indoors, and fueling for those sessions is just as important, if not more important, than being on the road. It's harder with hotter conditions, limited or less airflow, higher sweat rates, which means your body's working overtime. So you may think, oh, bike nutrition is just for when I go on a long ride, maybe in the summer. That's not the case. It's arguably more important if you're doing some intense training or consistent training indoors this winter to use a product like Morton's drink mixes or gels with their hydrogel technology that delivers carbs smoothly and without the bloating or gut issues that might come from fueling hard. You can target, say, 60, 90 grams per hour, maybe more if you're pushing the watts Benji is pushing at the moment that I've seen. So if you want to get 20% off your first order at morton.com, you can use the code LRMorton2025. That's LRMorton2025 for 20% off your first order to help you grind out the base miles this December. All right, Benji, transfers.
Okay, we got to talk about a lot of retirees within the team of INEOS Grenadiers in 2025-2026, the transfer season. And the first one is obviously Caleb Ewan that abandoned the squad in June after, actually in May, I'm pretty sure, after winning 2 races, but that's a long time ago. The actual people that left at the end of the year are the following: Geraint Thomas, who moves into a staff position; Jonathan Castroviejo, who was a cornerstone for the team for multiple years; Omar Frale, who had been a medium mountain domestique in important races for the team as well, but was kind of slowly disappearing from the forefront. Yeah, the last portion of his career was not that great anymore. Salvatore Puccio, he was always that guy that ended up in a Giro team or even a Tour de France team, I think at some point maybe, of INEOS. And at the end of the day, he was actually valuable in some of those Giros. I remember maybe, I don't know which year, maybe 2022, 2021, maybe the Bernal Giro victory, where on the second last day, Puccio was in the breakaway as a satellite rider. He was a valuable rider for the team, sometimes just getting beat-ons, but also road capped along the way. Leonard is also leaving, which may be a little bit of a surprise because he joined the team only like 2-3 years ago, announced as the next Evenepoel by some Cycling Weekly article, I'm pretty sure. But he's leaving towards EF Education Easy Post. Are you surprised by Michael Leonard leaving in the year that I believe where he was starting to show something in maybe the Dauphiné or Swiss? Dauphiné, right?
Dauphiné, he was in the break with Alex Baudin on one of the last mountain stages. He was good in some other races. I think he's been good in some time trials, but I can understand why, if they've developed, like they've invested in his development for a few years, he's still very flawed as a road cyclist. And then maybe if he gets an attractive offer at another team, you're like, this isn't like worth the hassle, frankly, because it's so I can. That's more a rider choice thing to me, and then they're making the decision. This isn't the next Evenepoel, so
yeah.
If you really want to leave after we invested in the last couple of years, okay, that's goodbye. So it is, it's literally 5 riders retiring, and then a young rider who was a Neo Pro, and then incoming, we have 5 confirmed, I think, plus Welsford's at the team camp. So we'll start with the confirmed ones first. So Embret Svestad Barseng from Airbnb Hotels. He was he is a Norwegian. He was good in Tour of Oman. He's a climber, tall, skinny climber. Not the best descender, but good watts, good in the Giro in some stages. So I think that's a pretty good pickup.
Yeah.
Also, Theodore Storm is supposed to come up from their like feeder team, but I doubt he will actually. So
no confirmation yet?
Like no confirmation, but there's just no way you can bring him up.
He's not good enough yet, is what you're saying.
Like there's just no way, yeah.
Makes sense. Now,
so Yeah, the others.
The others are, I think, where it's also at, next to Svestad Bartseng, who is a solid climbing prospect, I would classify him as. Godon, Vauquelin, Haig. Let's go one by one here, Patrick, because I also want to try and find the grasp of what their vision is with these transfers and if they're trying to replace people that are leaving and or what area they're trying to strengthen, because Vauquelin is the big name, I think, of these five. I think that's fair to say because he topped 10 the Tour de France. He was good at Tour de Suisse before that. He's a rider that can do GC in races now. I don't think he has it to podium a Grand Tour or anything like that, but he's got a solid time trial for a rider that can climb and is also quite punchy in places. Was there a stage in Tour de Suisse where he launched too early and Almeida profited from it on the final stretch, or am I imagining that?
Yeah, there was one of the stages here on. He probably should have rolled Almeida, who was more riding for GC. But yeah, in Tour de Suisse, he was very, very good. He's won a Tour de France stage twice, second in Flesh, good in the wet weather. So why can't Kevin Vauquelin win Paris-Nice on INEOS?
A light Paris-Nice, I fully agree with you. It obviously depends on whether there's a proper mountain stage there. If there's a proper mountain stage, can't think of any right now, but if Pogacar and Vingegaard are there or something, then he, on paper, loses Paris-Nice.
Yeah, okay. But if, of course, if they're there, but if he's against someone else and then he's got if he's with INEOS and there's a team time trial and he's a great time trial rider and he's alongside Ganner and Tarling, there's a crosswind stage that INEOS made it this year. Yeah, I don't see why he can't do very well there. País Vasco. The problem is the consistency is that what we saw in the Tour and in Flesh, we haven't seen in other one-week races, apart from Swiss. So, but he is young. Vauquelin was maybe the most hotly contested signature of a GC rider in spring.
Ooh.
Because Ayuso and Remco don't count in spring.
Yeah, I agree. Who else was there then? Other riders extended?
Yeah, like Lipowitz extended.
I think that's true because there's also lots of rumors about him during that period. Is he going to INEOS? Whether there's other teams available? Total Energy coming in, then twisting I wouldn't say twisting the arm, but making it more obvious that Vauquelin could potentially be joining INEOS to Frenchify the team a little bit. I think I would agree with you in some sense, but I will also just add that Vauquelin's the kind of rider that on paper should also be able to add some victories to the tally of INEOS. Like, he might not be the most winning rider at the moment, but if I look at the type of rider he is, you can't tell me that he shouldn't be able to win a Bessèges or something, you know?
Well, he's won it. He won it this year.
Example, there we go.
So yeah, he's won it with 2 stages, although they were against like the poor Conti guys that weren't allowed to leave. But still,
wins are wins.
Wins are wins. He's won 10 races and he won 5 of them this year.
Woo.
Yeah. So yeah, like you have to give them a massive tick for signing Kevin Vauquelin when he was the age, the trajectory of his career, the TT, which is already good. Like maybe
pre-Tour de France top 10? As in, he signed before the Tour de France, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. I would say so. I would hope so for their sake. And then Dorian Godon is the other French rider from Decathlon AG2R Mondial. He's a big versatile sprinter, but it really has to be the versatile sprints. He doesn't get involved in the bunch sprints whatsoever. I've not really seen him in a domestique role either, like despite him climbing. So that's interesting to see how he progresses. And then they have Jack Haig's come in from Bahrain Victorious as like a climbing domestique. I would say they brought in Lucas Hamilton last year, his career wasn't going so well, and Hamilton, I think, was actually a very good value for money signing.
Yep.
I think with Haig, Grand Tour experience, podiumed the Vuelta 4 years ago.
Depends on the money for me.
It depends on the money. He's had a lean 18 months, but if he can stay upright, actually, like, he's better than Freyler. And that can be really good in the Ardennes, throughout the year.
Yeah, like I hope to see Jack Haig go to a shade of his former self. I'm just fearful that he might be on a little bit more money than I would be willing to gamble on Jack Haig for INEOS' sake. But I just think that in general, I'm pretty okay with these transfers. I think Vogel has the signature sign. I think Godon's also a good signing, to be honest. If anything, I'm surprised that French teams weren't able to find a way to keep a Godon, because he's French champion, right? In 2025? Or am I inventing that?
He is French champion. No, he is. He started winning, actually, like, a lot of races this year. So, well, no, he won 6 or 5 races this year. He has won a couple of Romandy stages, so he's won Brabants a few years ago. I think, pretty good rider. Just a good rider. He's still only 29, so that's perfectly fine signing. I do think there's a little bit of, like with Axel Laurence, who do you go for?
As in when they're together in a race?
Yeah.
Ooh, for me,
Godon's quicker.
For me, it depends on how hard the parkour is. Laurence is more punchy, I would say, while Godon is more flat sprinty. That's my classification in my head.
Like Bernocchi.
But talking about flat sprinty, we've seen lots of rumors throughout the year about Welsford potentially joining INEOS. We then had Daniel Benson mention that Welsford was at the training camp of INEOS, if I recall. But he's not confirmed as a transfer yet. So we don't know whether Welsford... What's sorry?
He was on a Pinarello photographed at the team camp.
So I think we can assume that Welsford is likely to join INEOS unless something magical happens in the next couple of weeks. But I think that's also, like, I will not allow Patrick to rant about this. He's had his rant last podcast. He's jogging to make it work. He's ready to shadow box people to make this work. But I think Welsford is a good signing because I expect him to get more victories than Ewan did in 2025.
Really?
Yes.
So you think he's going to be a top 5 sprinter in the world in 2026? That's a hot take.
I said. That's what you said. I think Welsford can win 1 or 2 Southern Under stages. I don't know if they have the best lead out for INEOS compared to Red Bull. That's my worry for Welsford. But
I disagree.
I think he should
disagree completely.
Really? But at that race, though, are they going to send their best riders for lead out to the Southern Under?
Are they going to ruin their Premier Classic signing spring season to do lead outs as second last man for him again? Probably not. I don't think they're going to send Ganna as the second last lead out. To do with Pithy.
So wait, your argument was that they have the lead out, but they're not going to use it.
I just think INEOS, in terms of keeping him in position, can do a better job. Like INEOS, from 5Ks to 2Ks or 5Ks to 1K to go, there's no one better.
But who will be doing the lead out, Patrick, knowing that the other riders that could potentially be mate, your glasses are completely fogged up from drinking that coffee. But what I was going with was, knowing that the Gannas, the Turners, and so forth will have their own schedule, who's going to be doing Welsford's lead out at, hypothetically, let's say, 2 Down Under, and what other races would you send them to?
To the Kokzijde van Gugtebarp. Like those sort of, like he needs to do the absolute flat races. That's where he can score. And to your point, Adam Schmidt, Connor Swift, Ben Swift, Josh Tarling, Ben Turner, Sam Watson.
I don't expect Ben Turner and Tarling to show up in Bredene Kokzijde risking their life for Welsford. Nor to Down Under, maybe.
Why not?
Clock maybe turn... Then again, TDU, there's a prologue in TDU now, so Tarling could get a win there.
So no, Watson will be a TDU. I bet you anything. Watson's the prologue master.
That's true.
Good call. They got Hajduk. Hajduk, that'll be his full-time job, I would say.
These are not names that are better than the Red Bull.
I'm saying until 1K. After 1K, fucking big problems. But until 1K. Until then, we're looking good. After 1K, you need Turner and Kwiatkowski. So, but yeah, you need a flash. They need a flash sprinter. You need a flash sprinter, especially if they're
Godon
that's why they got Ewan.
out.
I've never seen Godon do a good lead out. Although I don't think they ever had. They split him with Bennett. So, but yeah, I think Welsford. It makes sense that he's going there. Like, who would be a better? I think they should have gone for Huku. If you want a really cheap French sprinter, they should have gone for Huku, but Q365 got him. Okay, that's the transfers. I think every transfer window, you need one guy to really hopefully change the prospects of the team, and it's clearly Vauquelin. So this transfer window, if Vauquelin pops off, then it's a major success. And so they couldn't get Remco. Ayuso. Would you rather have Vauquelin or Ayuso? Ayuso.
I would rather have.
Would you rather have Vauquelin? But on 25 mil over 5 years is the question.
That's a good question. Then I might actually opt for Vauquelin.
Yeah,
because I
think
wouldn't want to risk it for 25 mil over 5 years.
Yeah.
As in, to be clear, Vauquelin not on 25 mil for 5 years either. Eh?
Save it for Sessions, huh? The
6
they will be. Like, won't this team be? Isn't that the plan? Like, people scoffed, and I actually think it's wrong to scoff. And listen, me and you, we were like, "What is G being made head of racing?" Like, come on, like it's a bit much. But people are also wrong to scoff when he says we want to win the tour in like 2029, 2030. In 2020, like, Pog hadn't won a Grand Tour yet. In 2021, Bernal won a Grand Tour. A lot can change. If this team sets the platform and then gets Sexas plus Vogue in 2027, which, by the way, is like just around the corner, who says they can't? That's their plan, right? That's their long-term plan. Has to be.
I want to dive into this long-term plan of INEOS because you mentioned Sexas as a possibility. They've got Benjamin Noval as a junior signing up for their youngster team, whatever.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He could go somewhere. He's probably the best rider from his year. I would argue by quite a bit, clearly.
Yeah.
But it's also at a point where he's so young right now where we can't be certain that future will happen. Like with Paul Sixas, we also had a transition of like, okay, he looks very talented. Okay, he's won this, was it U23 ITT or something, or maybe the junior one? Like, he started moving up gradually, and we gradually moved up our expectations as it went along, to the point that we're now at the point of, okay, Sixas looks to be becoming what we hoped he would become. With Noval, he's still so young that we can't expect that yet. So he's still I wouldn't say a gamble, he's an investment, and we're hoping that he becomes what we think he will become, because he's very talented at the moment. Now, what I was trying to move towards is, they're trying to build for Paul Sixas, is what you're saying. Were they not trying to build for Remco Evenepoel to join before this year?
Yeah, probably. I mean, Sexas or Remco or whoever, you want to. I think you want to make yourself. This team needs to make itself again as attractive as possible. That a prospective GC winner says, "I want to go there." That's their long-term plan. Because, like you said, there's no guarantee Noval will be the next Tour de France winner.
Yeah.
No guarantees Vauquelin.
Definitely
no
not the next one.
Yeah, probably not the next one. So you need to keep your options open, that you can go for someone coming across, but you actually need to be attracted. If they always just want to go to Little Trek or Red Bull or Visma or UAE, if Pogs declined or retired, then you're fucked. So I think you have to make yourself attractive.
My worry is that it's not just about attractiveness. I haven't seen any proof that they financially are willing to cough up X amount of money to get Paul Sixas in a couple of years, in the same way that I don't know if they were financially viable to get the Remco in if they wanted this year. Could they compete with Red Bull in the first place over a Remco signing? Why did they ever consider going
Remco
after
is all the
Ayuso?
bike stuff.
Specialized,
Ayuso
I
seems
get
like
that,
he
yeah.
would have been. Wouldn't Ayuso seems like he would have been a solid fit.
Yep, I agree.
They have a Spanish contingent there. Like,
But 25 mil over 5 years, my friend, I wouldn't compete with
that's the thing.
that.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want to go. Yeah. So in that sense, you were saying, oh well, they haven't had the financial muscle, but then we're also saying, yeah, probably prudent not to do that in their position. Save that cash. So their long term goal, whether you like it or not, and if you're any big budget team, the long term goal for all these teams, Bora, UAE, Visma, Decathlon, whether they say it now or not, Little Trek, their long term goal is to be competitive in GC and the Grand Tours and the Tour de France. We love our monuments, but these big companies like Total Energies, they come into the sport on being sold the dream, hopefully turning into a reality that they can have a French rider, hopefully, like, it would be their preference, doing well on GC at the Tour. But more short term, what would their goals be? Oh, actually, before we get to that, what should their goals be for 2026? Have you given up on Carlos Rodriguez? No one talks about Carlos Rodriguez anymore.
I feel like throughout his entire career, the hype for Carlos Rodriguez has been not as high as I perhaps expected it to be at the start of his career. Like when we were talking about his Lagunas de Naya performances in maybe 2021, 2022, when he gradually started getting better in Burgos, etc., and then eventually started performing in World Tour races and eventually started performing Grand Tours, had a very gradual growth as a rider, I would say. Carlos Rodriguez, I haven't given up on him, but I also do not see him winning a Grand Tour in his career right now, which I maybe could have seen when he was a youngster, a promising youngster in 2021, where I was like, okay, this guy could potentially win a Vuelta at some point in his career. I don't see that right now.
2023.
Yeah, I don't see that with Carlos Rodriguez now, and that's partially because of the fact that Pogacar exists. But on top of that, let's say Pogacar, hypothetically, if we set the scenario that Pogacar has peaked, he will not get better from here, and in 1 or 2 years he starts slowly deteriorating when it comes to his level, then a door opens in 3-4 years for riders to show up and win Tour de France's, Vueltas, Giros, whatever, just hypothetically. Vingegaard is also not the youngest rider. He's also not 23, etc. So his career will also not be endless. And then Remco is maybe the youngest of the bunch, I would say. Lipovic as well. I don't see Carlos Rodriguez winning a Grand Tour in his career at the moment. That's as simple as it says. So for me, the ceiling is podiuming a Grand Tour. I still think that is not impossible, but I'm definitely not as high on him as I was 2 years ago, which is a bit of a shame. And what do you think is the reason for that?
Other guys have turned up. Other guys have turned up. You got Seixas now. Lipovic just podiumed the Tour. He's 24, 25. There's just other guys have stepped into that in the last 2 years. Only, I mean, that's we haven't spoken about for the transfers. I mean, Oscar Onley, I thought he was staying at Picnic for sure. But then there was chatter that he is going to INEOS and that there's potentially a buyout. And then...
But how?
Picnic Post-Nl's license has only been renewed per the UCI for 1 year. Most of the other teams, it's for the full 3-year cycle. That means Picnic...
Is that the same that happened with DSM?
I can't recall.
I think there was something similar 3 years ago, but I could be wrong. Sorry.
But that means that there's no guarantee that team has financial longevity past 26.
Yeah.
And then Onley, he was asked at the Tour of Bright, I think, what's the go? And he actually didn't say, I'm riding for Picnic next year. He said it's all a bit up in the air. So that confirms that there's buyout discussions at a minimum in place.
But how? They've got 29 riders without Welsford. If Welsford joins, they're full.
No, it's 28.
Am I wrong?
28 without Welsford.
Okay, that makes sense then.
And also you can tell, like, Theodore Storm can do another year elsewhere.
That's actually a valid take. Storm could be dipped out there. You're right. So that's not necessarily a constraint. Then should we discuss the possibility now, or should we do a emergency podcast if Oscar Onley transfer? You want to do an Oscar Onley emergency podcast?
I'll do an emergency. should they do it? I think so.
I think, of course, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. Like, he's a very talented rider. He just top 5-day Grand Tour, which is the Tour de France, the best of the 3. He's got
picnic to it.
The potential. Well, depends on their finances because I think they financially need it.
Isn't this the sell high moment? He probably won't top 5 the Tour again next year.
Very possible, but
he's British.
On the other side of the coin,
for a British GC guy.
On the other side of the coin, can they afford to lose the UCI points? Because they sign with the money before the next season starts that could potentially replace the UCI points?
Then 26 is a write-off, and then you have to hope to develop again and then have another Oscar only in 2028. And then
plus, how willing will new sponsors be to financially invest in a team with a 1-year longevity if you don't have a rider like only present? Because to be honest, Pinning Postillon is not the most attractive team in the world.
That's also the problem. Yeah, and he's clearly their best rider and their most attractive. John Degenkolb's still on that team. Jeez.
Really? Oh yeah, he got injured, right? Before Roubaix this year?
I mean, sure, but I'm not sure that's the biggest problem.
Bring back Bardet is what I'm saying.
Dude, Bardet retiring was, it worked out in the end. Jeez. I guess for Oscar only, he saved the team, but then he kept himself at the team by saving the team on probably a below market contract. So we'll see what happens there. It sounds like INEOS are going for him. But short term, what should their goals be in 2026? Let's say they don't get only. What should their goals be? What's their tour? Start with their tour team.
Well, I first want to say that I do think win a classic should be on the spectrum of their goals. That's one thing.
Yep.
I like to start chronologically throughout the year. I think I wouldn't say dominate time trials, but win multiple time trials throughout the year with Ghana and Tarling to try and gather wins through those riders. I know I'm starting off with the smaller things. When it comes to the Tour de France, can I be honest? Yes, we talk about the team wants to focus on GC again and so forth, but I kind of feel like I'm digging the hunt for stage win vibe because Arensbrand brought them quite a bit of attention during the Tour de France that I don't think they could achieve through GC.
Yeah, I think so. I think Carlos Rodriguez to the Giro, get him out of the Tour, and then he can do Giro Vuelta. Then TTT, try to win it. If not, try to have Vauquelin somehow take the yellow jersey with the punchy Catalunya stages. I think Axel Laurence, he had his chance this year. He wasn't good enough at the Tour for the stages that suited him. I think you go for Vauquelin instead. He's better when it's like Pog launching it. And then you take Laurence to the Giro. But yeah, I think you double up with the big units and try to win the TTT at the Tour. And then see how far you can go with Vauquelin. They're going to go for Vauquelin and GC. I see no alternative.
I'm also struggling to see an alternative. The other thing you could mention is, let's say hypothetically Ghana does the classics. Let's say Tarling maybe does Roubaix again. Would you not want to go to the Giro with one of those riders knowing they can definitely win the Giro time trial, knowing that Remco's doing the Tour de France?
Oh, it's a 40k flat one, right?
Yeah, that shouts Ghana or Tarling victory for me.
Then go with Tarling then.
They can always do classics Giro Tour triple. That's difficult.
No, that's too hard for Tarling.
I think so too.
Too hard for Ghana too. So
classic Giro Vuelta is doable though for one of them.
Yep. Although there's like Renewy and a lot of other sort of suitable races for.
I'd like to see Ghana at the Giro again. With those remember when together with Narvaez they had those attacks in the last couple of kilometers? I like that vibe.
Okay, maybe that, and then you have Tarling at the Tour. Tarling, Godon, Vauquelin, Aronsman, Kwiatkowski,
What do you do with
Turner.
Turner? Yeah.
Yeah,
Aronsman has to be Tour de France.
Foss. Yeah, Aronsman, Vauquelin, Tour, I think. Bernal. Giro.
Do
Vuelta.
you double up Aronsman into Grand Tours? Tour de France Vuelta or something? I think that's possible.
Sure.
Bernal, I'm also feeling Giro Vuelta potentially again. And the reason I'm feeling that is because at the Giro, he went for GC. I think he got maybe 7 in GC after being really aggressive. And I enjoyed the INEOS aggressive tactics, even though in the Giro it sometimes backfired. But Bernal's definitely good enough to compete for a stage win in a Grand Tour. He's done that at the Vuelta. So
just do the exact same schedule as this year for Bernal. I think it was a success.
I agree. And then do you let riders like Godon focus on smaller races as well? Because that's where he's most winning? Or do you feel like you're sending him to Rome and the Catalunya for the versatile sprints?
Mixture of those, but yeah, I mean, I wonder if their schedule changes and they do more French Cup races because of the Total Energy sponsor and their French riders.
Yeah.
So maybe those races become kind of more important for them, but because it's a balance. If you put Godon only on Paris-Nice, then the classics, for example, and then the Ardennes or Romandy, and then a Grand Tour, he's only one World Tour race in his career. So,
can I go on a random tangent?
Yes.
I don't know if this is financially debilitating for the races, but I think it's not a good thing that sponsors of teams can sponsor races as well. For example, FDG being the sponsor of the French Cup to me is insane. Because
Lotto with the Lotto races.
Exactly, like the Famen Classic, whatever it was. Lotto was sponsoring that. Like, I think that's very weird. Does that not negatively impact the desire of Total Energy to focus on the French Cup? Because they're going to be promoting FDG doing it? Or does a brand not really care about that? It's not really an opposing brand within their industry, you know?
Yeah, I don't think. There was a supermarket conflict before, right? Where...
Ooh. Trying to figure it out.
Was it
Intermarché is a supermarket?
Yeah, no. When Lidl sponsored the Deutschland Tour, and then when Jumbo Visma, I think they were in the leaders' jersey, they're wearing a jersey with Lidl on it.
That is weird.
Yeah, I guess. To be honest, in the smaller races, as long as they get the money to survive, I mean...
Yeah, fair.
I don't mind. There's bigger problems, but I agree it is very strange. It's very strange. Okay, I think, to be honest, I find their season scheduling quite straightforward. I mean, anything flat with a sprint, Welsford goes to it. I think Laurence goes to like the hardest possible versatile sprints. I think Carlos and Bernal go to Giro Vuelta, and then Aronsman...
Classics is easy.
Classics is straightforward, and then Aronsman and Vauquelin go to the Tour with some big units.
Yeah. I think that's
straightforward to me. And that doesn't stop you winning. I think you can go to the Giro, Carlos Rodriguez, do the best GC possible, and then the other guys get full freedom to stage hunt.
Yeah, for example, Bernal next to Carlos Rodriguez at the Giro, Bernal should not be going for GC, in my opinion.
Oh, I came 7th.
Yeah, but what would you rather have? 1 or 2 stage wins at the Giro or 7 in GC? 2 stage wins I'd have over 7th. 1 is where it gets difficult.
Did Aronsman have a better Tour de France than Vauquelin this year?
Ooh, well...
Yeah,
is it weird that I find it...
Oh, for the Tour, it's different, you think?
I think top 10 at the Tour is better than top 10 at the Giro, in my opinion. But I still think I would say, ooh. Ideally, you've got top 10 and a stage win, eh?
Yeah, I
which is
would
not
probably rather
impossible.
win 2 stages, but it depends. If an Australian wins a stage, no one cares. They
McNulty
won't
would
renew
want the
his
top
contract.
10, my friend.
Okay, but do you think what's their play then? What's their play next year? Go for
What do you mean?
only.
As in transfer-wise?
Yeah, like what are they developing? They're just trying to build Naval, August, these young guys, and see if one explodes.
Yes, but also with Total being part of the team, do we also not expect them to invest even more in French riders? So, for example, if I look at riders without a contract for 2026 and I look for any French riders, we see Guillaume Martin, Christophe Laporte, we see Valentin Madouas, we see Sénéchal again, Jean Poussin, Paul Penouet. There's a couple riders in
top
there.
10 at least 3 World Tour stage races this year.
Crazy, right? But I don't expect him to repeat that.
Which,
is what I'm
by
trying
the
to
way,
say.
I really enjoyed the data analyst and the Astana piece on the cycling podcast. The data analyst, that's great.
Yeah.
The Astana riders were also fucking flying.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be like, oh, they, like, I know that they were scheduled and they did a load of races. I get it. But they were also pushing more watts.
Yeah. Can I be honest? The reality is the scheduling for UCI points, that was 3 years ago. People should have learned by now how to do that. It's more the fact that they were so incredibly good in the first place. Like Scaroni having such a solid start to the season. I'm calling it solid. Such an outrageously good start to the season. That is where the value was at. Yeah, except for the crash, I think, in Strade. Am I inventing that?
On a Giro stage.
He crashed in Strade, right? Am I inventing that?
I think so, yeah.
Because I was hyping up for Strade and then he didn't
was
show up
fourth
because he
in
crashed.
Europe. He was fourth in Europeans.
Yeah. He really made a step up. So it's not just about UCI point schedule. If anything, it's 15% about UCI point schedule and 85% about the team being so significantly good.
Whereas Cofidis, the riders just didn't perform. They were at the right races. They just didn't perform. Benji's man, Aaron Broe, I mean, the last bit of the season, it wasn't looking good. Okay, this is not the place for the INEOS. But yeah, I'm neither bullish nor pessimistic. Yeah, hot takes.
Ooh. I'm trying.
Oh, Kwiatkowski extended for 3 years. That was a little bit long.
Yeah, fair.
But
I agree. Especially because it probably won't be super expensive, super cheap.
I think Vocaland's TT was actually already pretty good at Arkea.
Correct.
Raul Garcia taught him. I guess I have to do, yeah, Welsford wins. Welsford wins, let's say, 4 times the number of races, Infinity, or 4 times the number of races of Arne Marit, who replaced him at Bora.
Okay. Then Arne Marit, well, so you're saying if Arne Marit wins 0, how will you say
Infinity.
Welsford won 4 times as much? Infinity, okay.
Just Infinity, yeah.
Okay. Trying to think of a hot take with the riders I'm seeing before me. Anything classics related?
Bernal will go to Movistar, right? With Rivera at the end of 26. Or
I think that's good
Astana.
for Movistar, though.
No. I'm just saying what will happen.
Rivera's a good one, though. I'd sign Rivera.
But Rivera, by the way, who's absolutely class, he extended just for 1 year. So that already tells you what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because Rivera was brought to the team as Bernal's friend, and then he ended up actually being really good, same manager. Like, that means they're going off together to Movistar or EF or Astana in 27, I would think, unless INEOS want to renew.
I am going to say that Joshua
break the
Darling
French
is going to
curse?
win. Joshua Darling is going to win more time trials than Remco Evenepoel.
That's a good one. That one. That's a good one.
Is
Yeah,
the
but
hot take
Remco's
though?
gonna-
That's the question.
Remco's going to do UAE tour. Number one.
Yes. Tour de France, hypothetically?
Yeah, it's a hot. Yeah, it's a hot take. It's a good hot take. Thank you.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the less I think it's going to happen. But we don't let the brain talk.
Yeah,
Hot takes are for crazy takes.
Yeah, I don't really have any others, to be honest. That's it.
Because I think Remco is going to skip the Belgian ITT. That's in my head. He's going to ride World Champs ITT. He's probably going to win it. He's going to skip Europeans for once. That's how I'm vibing at the moment.
Yep. Okay, that was our INEOS Total Energies preview. What have you got on? Are you doing some cyclocross soon, or am I not allowed to say that, Benji?
You're not allowed to mention it at the moment, I'm afraid. Very sad.
Oh, okay. You don't
We'll
even
talk
watch
about it next week.
But you don't even like the pro races. You watch or not?
No, I'm supposed to do this CX thing. Spoilers. Some people will know what I'm talking about. Some people won't. I've never done CX. Question: do you think I can do a? Let's say it's half a parkour of an actual CX race. It's less steep, I would say. There's quite a bit of sand involved.
How long?
Can I use my
is a
gravel
CX
bike?
race? Yeah, fuck yeah, Benji. What do you? Can you use your gravel bike? Can you use your gravel bike? What do you think gravel bikes are? What do you think they are?
A ploy for
CX. There's CX bikes existed and they couldn't sell them, so they rebranded them, changed the geometry. I don't want to hear any comments from people. But actually the head tube angle and stack height. Okay, just change the fucking width of your handlebars and the levers and the tires you have. They're the same. Luke is saying Canyon sponsorships out the window. Okay, whatever. Send me a grail. I mean, Canyon sponsorship, they're doing road toads right now. My boy he put up a crazy reel yesterday. I was laughing. Yes, Benji, you can use a cyclocross bike and a gravel bike. It's the same shit. Just change the tires. But how long is a CX race? I never watched one.
I don't fucking know. An hour?
Bet Luke is saying 1 hour, but I don't know if he means the pod length is an hour or.
I think a CX race is 1 hour, and then the last lap gets announced at like 57 minutes, and then the riders finish that lap.
Dude, if I wanted to watch Flemish people roll around in the sand and make sandcastles, I would have joined Benji in his holiday at Gran Canaria this week. So I'm not watching CX.
I'm not going to the beach anymore, but that is not a story for this podcast.
Okay. Yeah, just use whatever bike you have, Benji. And Jesus,
Your microphone keeps attacking you.
I got a women's CX bike back in like 2015 because they just couldn't sell it, and it was so cheap. So it's like I got it new. I got it. They're like, we knew some tiny man would eventually be the person who bought this. I said yes. After I'd purchased it, they're like, yeah, we knew basically a person that was your size would buy this. Okay. Sorry, Luke. Yeah, the Canyon sponsors or other sponsor out the window, but that's how it is. I mean, they're just probably grateful that Van der Poel didn't. Actually, I'll do Alpecin preview. But that video was crazy. We're going to talk about that in the Alpecin preview, which we record now with Van der Poel sprinting. Ciao, ciao, ciao.